You know when you're scrolling online and you see one of those lives that's just perfect? I mean, so curated, so flawless, it almost doesn't seem real. It's all effortless luxury, perfect taste, and success that just seems to fall into their laps. We're totally drawn to it, right? But there's always that little voice in the back of your head that wonders, what's really going on behind that perfect picture? Well, there's this new K-drama, The Art of Sarah, and it takes that very question and spins it into one of the most incredible thrillers I've seen in a long time. So we're going to get right into it, because this is so much more than just a murder mystery. It's really a masterclass in the art of the lie. This one line is everything. It's the beating heart of the whole series. Our main character, the incredibly mysterious Sarah Kim, says this. And it's not just some clever comeback, it's how she sees the entire world. And the show just keeps hitting us with this question over and over. It's all about ambition, the crazy heights you can reach, and the terrifying price you pay for your own identity in a world that only cares about how things look. So yeah, this isn't just about a few fake handbags. It's about fake lives, fake histories, a whole fake reality built so perfectly that it ends up being more powerful, more alluring than the truth ever was. Alright, so where does a story like this even begin? Well, like any good thriller, it kicks off with a massive collision between glamour and, well, pure grit. We don't start in some fancy penthouse. Nope, we start in the dark, grimy underbelly of Seoul. It's the perfect setup. A high-end brand, a life that looks absolutely perfect, and then a sudden, brutal end that could bring the whole house of cards down. So the story really gets going with this really grim find. A body is pulled out of a sewer. It's decomposed, and its face is just brutally disfigured. And this is where we meet our guy, Detective Park Mu-gyeong. He's going to be our guide through this whole maze of deception. He's a pretty grounded, no-nonsense cop. And his job is simple, right? Figure out who this woman is and who killed her. But what he has no idea about is that he's just stepped onto a chessboard where the rules change with every move, and his opponent is already 10 steps ahead of him. You know, sometimes an entire investigation can hinge on one tiny thing. Here, it's a handbag. The only real clue they find next to the body is this purple luxury bag. And we're not talking about just any old bag. This is from Boudoir, a brand so exclusive it's aimed at the top 0.1%. This thing is more than a bag. It's a status symbol. It's basically a skeleton key that unlocks this hidden world of private parties, powerful people, and secrets that are used like weapons. For Detective Park, this bag is the first thread he pulls on, and it leads him right into the super rich, super secretive world of Seoul's elite. So the cops have the bag, and they find a tattoo on the victim's foot that says, "Melancholy Splendid," which means splendid melancholy. They put two and two together and come to a pretty quick conclusion. The victim has to be Sarah Kim, the brilliant but super reclusive founder of the Boudoir brand. And boom, the news sends total shockwaves through the fashion world. The woman who built this untouchable empire has been murdered. The case, it seems, is pretty straightforward. Find out who killed this icon. But here's the kicker. What nobody knows is that this ID, it's the first lie in a story that's built on nothing but lies. Okay, so once the victim is supposedly identified, the whole investigation takes a sharp turn. The show does this brilliant pivot from a simple whodunit to a much more complicated who is she. Detective Park starts digging into Sarah Kim's past, and right away, he starts finding holes. Big ones. Gaps in her history, weird inconsistencies, the whole perfect facade starts to crack. And what he finds underneath isn't one person. It's a whole collection of them. And this is where we see what Sarah Kim really is. See, she isn't a person. She's a project. The investigation uncovers this trail of old identities she just cast off like old clothes. Each one was a stepping stone. She started as Muk Ga-hui, a salesgirl drowning in debt who literally faked her own death to escape. Then she became Kim Eun-jae, a personality she built from scratch to get into high society circles. And finally, she became Sarah Kim, her ultimate masterpiece. The actress who plays her, hae-sun, said it was a challenge to play someone who was totally sincere in every moment, even though all those moments were built on lies. It's like peeling an onion, and the cops are just trying to find if there's anything real at the center. And get this, it wasn't just Sarah's identity that was a total fabrication. Her entire company, the Boudoir brand, was basically a ghost. The public saw it as this prestigious brand with a long, fancy history. The reality? The cops find out the bags were being made locally, for cheap, by artisans she hired. The brand's entire history? Made up, completely fake. Sarah wasn't selling a handbag, she was selling a story. She created this illusion of exclusivity just by word of mouth, turning cheap materials into this ultimate status symbol. And the wildest part, when all this gets exposed, her rich clients don't even complain. They'd rather not be embarrassed for getting scammed. So just as Detective Park and all of us watching feel like we're finally getting a grip on how deep this scam goes, the show just pulls the rug out from under us. The entire foundation of the murder investigation, the actual identity of the body, is about to get completely destroyed in one of the best plot twists I've ever seen. Seriously, just picture this. The police are chasing a ghost, right? They're trying to piece together the life of this master con artist who they think is dead. And then the ghost just walks in the front door. Cool, calm, collected, and very, very alive. Sarah Kim shows up at the police station, and in that 1 second, the entire case just implodes. The victim isn't the victim. The murder they've been investigating, it never even happened. All they're left with is an unidentified body in the morgue and the living suspect who just proved she's playing a completely different game. So the big question is, right, if Sarah Kim is alive, who the heck was in that sewer? Well, her name was Kim Mi-gyeong, and her story is just fascinating. She wasn't just some random person. She was the artisan. She was the actual hands-on talent making the boudoir handbags. She was the genius behind the curtain. But she was also a mirror. She looked a lot like Sarah, and as she sat there making these bags and watching Sarah get all the credit, all the fame, that jealousy started to curdle into something really dangerous. She started to want Sarah's life, even getting this same melancholy splendide tattoo, dressing just like her, and plotting to literally take her place. So the show flashes back, and we finally get the real story of what went down at that boudoir launch party. Kim Mi-gyeong shows up looking like a perfect clone of Sarah, but she wasn't there to expose her. She was there to replace her. She attacks Sarah, planning to kill her and just step into her life. A really violent, desperate fight breaks out, and in all that chaos, Sarah ends up killing Mi-gyeong. It was self-defense, totally unplanned. But what she did next, that was pure strategy. Instead of calling the cops, she saw a chance. She disfigured the body, dumped it in the sewer, and set the scene perfectly to make the whole world think that it was her body, that she was the one who was murdered. So, Sarah's alive, we know what really happened that night. You'd think that's it, right? Case closed. The confession is coming. But nope, not with Sarah Kim. She doesn't follow the rules ever. She didn't walk into that police station to confess to a crime. She was there to put on her final performance, her absolute masterpiece of deception. This move is just pure genius. She sits down with Detective Park, and she doesn't confess to killing Mi-gyeong. No, she flips the whole story on its head. She looks him right in the eye and says that she is Kim Mi-gyeong, and that she murdered the real Sarah Kim. It creates this impossible knot for the cops. They have a body with Sarah's tattoo, and now they have a woman confessing to the murder. They know she's lying, they feel it, but they can't prove it. So she goes to prison as Kim Mi-gyeong. In doing so, she kills off the Sarah Kim persona for good in the eyes of the law, which means her brand, Boudoir, is safe from any murder scandal. So why would she do this? It sounds insane, right? Detective Park even calls her out on it. He tells her she's so obsessed with her reputation that she'd rather go to jail as a fake person than just tell the truth. And she doesn't even deny it. Because for her, Sarah Kim and the Boudoir brand, they weren't just lies, they were her life's work, her greatest creations. In her mind, they were more real and way more important than her own freedom. By sacrificing her identity, she makes her creation immortal. The woman, whoever she is, goes to prison. But the idea of Sarah Kim gets to live on forever. So after all of that, after all the fake names, the lies, the swaps, and that final mind-bending move, the series ends by taking us right back to the question it started with. The case is closed, the killer's in jail, the brand is doing better than ever. But the actual truth, it's still out there, locked away on purpose. The very last scene, it's just perfect. It's set in the prison. Detective Park, who actually got a promotion for closing this impossible case, goes to visit her. He tells her the world has moved on, that everyone except Sarah Kim is dead, and Boudoir is more successful than ever. And then he just asks her the one question that's been eating it in the whole time, the question that is the core of this entire show: who are you? The camera just stays on her face, and she gives this tiny, knowing smile. We never learn her real name, we never find out where she came from, and that final shot just confirms it. She's beyond any one identity now. She is exactly who she made herself to be. And that is the question The Art of Sarah leaves us with. It's such a powerful and honestly unsettling end to a story about ambition, jealousy, and deception. Sarah Kim literally built an empire out of lies, and then she saved it with one last perfect lie. The series is just this masterful critique of our obsession with appearances. It kind of suggests that if a lie is so well made that you can't tell it from the truth, then maybe it becomes the truth. It really makes you ask yourself, in a world that is so obsessed with image, what is authenticity even worth? And if everybody gets what they want from a lie, can you even call it a con?